Hey, what's going on everyone? I'm Sir James from Gamerfuzion.com, and today I'm here to give you my review for Rush for Glory. Now, Rush for Glory doesn't feature any type of story. All it is that it's a tower defense game where you set up a defensive perimeter to stop the enemy forces from going from point A to point B. As for the graphics, visually this game is really nice to look at, and what I like about the game is that you have like 3 different aspects that you could look at. You could scroll all the way back and basically your camera will pretty much be above where the clouds are at, getting an overhead view of the battlefield. You could zoom in to kind of get a mid-range view, or you could zoom in a bit closer to where you could hear more of the sound effects and of course get a better visualization of the enemy units and the towers throughout the game. But each of the different sections that you're going to be visiting looks really cool. What I did notice, to me it seems like a missed opportunity, or would have been cool to see added into it, is to have some type of dynamic weather effect to change up the gameplay tactics. For example, one of the levels that you're playing in was in the desert, and I think would have been cool is to have maybe a few portions where a sandstorm would have kicked in to block your visual aspect of the game and allowing the enemies to be concealed within the sandstorm. I think that would have been cool for opportunities like that, but it was not featured in the game, so I'm not going to hold the game against it. Just overall, visually, the game looks really nice. Some sections are very colorful, other sections are bright, some sections are dark, but it was really enjoyable to look at. It's pretty much one of the nicest looking tower defense games that I've seen in a while. As for the gameplay is very easy to understand. For those of you who have experience with past tower defense games, then this game is no stranger to you. But for those of you who are new to tower defense games, then the concept is pretty easy. Basically, what's happening here is that the enemy has a set path from path A, and their objective is to get to path B. Your objective and your mission is to set up a perimeter to stop the enemy forces from reaching the end of the path. And how do you do that? Well, in this case, you set up towers. When you first start off the game, you're getting some basic towers. You're getting basically like a machine gun one, and you're getting one that has the ability to slow down your opponents for just a brief amount of time, basically like a freezing tower. Then as you progress further into the campaign, you unlock more additional towers. So pretty much what you're going to be doing is setting up your towers along the path to stop the forces. If you happen to complete the actual map without letting a single enemy force reach the end, you're going to be awarded with a gold star. Now this gold star is actually going to be implemented into the game, which you could use towards upgrades. That is right, at the end, if you happen to get a gold star, there is a huge upgrade list where you could upgrade on each of the different towers and the special abilities that you get to unlock in the game. For example, one of the first ones you start with is basically like a bear trap. Later on, you get to unlock like a medic pack, you get to unlock an artillery shield, and things like that. Also too, along the way, your towers, not only will they become stronger, but you could also access special abilities in which you could use in the game, which is quite unique for this game. I haven't seen something like that in past tower defense games. But as I stated, the objective is very simple, is to build towers along the path to stop the forces from going in. The game does offer different difficulty options to choose from, so if you feel as if normal difficulty is not providing you enough challenge, you could bump up the difficulty, which then the enemy forces will become a lot stronger and relentless. And of course, not only that, be aware that later on levels the enemies will actually fight back, as in trying to destroy your tower. So you always got to be on the lookout, and of course in later sections there's going to be parts where the enemies are able to break out into different paths. For example, you may have 3 different locations where enemies are going to come out of, maybe 2, and of course later on they're going to get aircrafts, which the aircrafts don't follow the path. They are able to basically cheat their way around the battlefield, so you got to be on the lookout. So it has a really nice strategy element that is pretty much well solid for it, but it was a really enjoyable gameplay experience, even for newcomers to tower defense games. As for the sound, both the in-game soundtrack and the sound effects in this game was really enjoyable to listen to. But first, let me go ahead and talk about the actual sound effects in the game. Now, normally the games have standard sound effects and whatnot or voice acting, but for a tower defense game, I liked what they did here because it put a sense of realism here. With the option of the camera zoom of zooming in closer or further away from the battlefield, what's cool here is that the sound actually works with this. For example, the more further back that you zoomed out of the battlefield, the less you hear of the gun battles going on down below. But the more you zoom into the battlefield, the sound effects become louder and louder to where you're basically there in person and where you're just hearing mayhem going around your speakers, which I thought was a really nice concept for the game. Like I said, it put a sense of realism there. Now the next aspect is the game's soundtrack, and I gotta say, this game has an awesome soundtrack. I was just sitting here and I would zoom out of the battlefield just to listen to the soundtrack because it had a really nice beat. It put me into the battle mode. I was like, you know what, I could definitely tune out to this. I mean, just the soundtrack was really enjoyable to listen to. As for the lifespan, to me this game has a really good lifespan, especially for those who love tower defense based games. The game does offer its different difficulty levels to choose from. You do have a variety of different levels to play on, and of course the further that you progress will determine how many enemy forces you have to defend off. It could be 6, it could be 19, 30, but there's just a lot of additions to the game. Not only that, if you happen to get a gold star for each level, you're able to upgrade all your different towers and upgrades for the game. So that may be an option for players who wanted to go and try to unlock every single option for the game that has to offer, which, you know, to me is a nice incentive for players to wanting to come back and play more. But overall, the gameplay is solid and it was really enjoyable. As for the innovative, was there anything new here, or was this something that we already seen before? I would say the innovative here is the way the upgrade system works. Now, true, you could upgrade your towers and stuff like that, just like other tower defense based games, but for this one with that gold star, the fact that you could upgrade pretty much anything at your disposal, whatever tower you want to upgrade, and each one has like 4 to 5 different upgrades to choose from. The fact that there's additional options, that you get more gold every time you kill an enemy unit, you get more gold every time you sell one of your structures, and of course the fact that you could upgrade the cooldown times of your special abilities in which you could use. I thought that was really done. It just had a really deep upgradable option in which you could choose from, and is a nice way for you to kind of go back and wanting to upgrade more aspects of the game. But I thought that was done extremely well. But overall, like I said, there's elements that was borrowed from other tower defense games, but when you combine all that and the upgrade chart, I'd say this is one solid game that you guys will definitely enjoy. In the end, I'm going to give Rush for Glory a 9 out of 10. It's definitely worth the pickup. It is a ton of fun. If you guys want to check out some gameplay, you guys can check out the link down below. Anyways, I'm Sir James from Gamerfuzion, and always remember guys, Gamerfuzion empowers your gaming.